can read, what? Read. If you can change, change. If you can take some notes, take some notes. If you can learn, learn. If you can go, go. If you can do it, do it. Don't leave the littlest things undone. It's called heading down the wrong road. You say, well, can you turn your life around with something as simple as an apple a day? Yes, where else would you start? Are you going to wait for some flash of revelation to come out of the sky? I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. It starts with an apple. And if you don't start there, then you've got to put up with your own lack at the end of another 6, 8, 10 years. And that's something nobody else can fix except you. Democrats can't fix it. Nobody else can fix it. The authors of the world can't fix it. The wise people of the world can't fix it. It's only something you can fix by putting up your own sail, refining your own sail so that you could care less about the wind that blows. That's why we've gone through all of this. Now, the miracle is performed by two things. Number one, do what you can. That's all life asks us to do, is just do whatever you can and don't neglect it. It'll start a miracle. "2,000 years ago, on April 15th, one of Jesus' disciples, now from my amateur point of view, let me put it to you best I can. One of Jesus' disciples said to Jesus, "It's time to pay our taxes and we don't have any money." That's how come I know it was around April 15th. That's close. In response to this statement by this disciple, Jesus said, "No problem." Now, why could he say no problem? Well, word has it, if you're a scholar at all, word has it, Jesus was a miracle worker. If you handed a problem to a miracle worker, what would he be inclined to say? No problem. You got to hang out with people like that. I'm telling you. Miracle worker. I belong to a little small group. We do business around the world. These guys are all miracle workers. What an incredible group. If you handed any of them a problem, guess what they would say? No problem. They'll read how many books to solve it? How many that it takes. If they need to consult, how much consulting will they do? As much as it takes. How early will they get up? As early as it takes. So it is no problem. You've got to hang out with people like that. You cannot believe the thrill of being associated with miracle workers. People who will do whatever it takes to get the job done, perform miracles. Jesus said, "I'm telling you, it's no problem." He said, "It's going to be simple. This time to pay taxes and haven't got any money. It's going to be easy." Must have been to my seminar. Jesus said it's going to be easy. He said to his disciples, "Here's how easy it's going to be. Just go fishing." Now, it can't be any easier than that. And especially for this disciple, his name was Peter. And Peter was what? A fisherman. Now, if you can fish and you should fish and you don't fish, that's how come you get no miracle. But he said to his disciple, "Just go fishing. And the first fish you catch, look in his mouth." Peter said, "Okay." He was used to strange things happening. Peter goes fishing, catches the first fish, looks in his mouth, what? Coins. Coins in the fish's mouth. Peter says, "Wow, coins." And he starts counting and adding up the value of these coins. Guess how much it added up to? Exactly enough money to pay his taxes and Jesus' taxes. I'm telling you, Jesus did pay taxes. Now the question is, should he? And my book coming up is going to answer that question, right? Yes, of course. Jesus and kids should pay taxes. Everybody has to pay. Now, what do we call coins in the fish's mouth? Here's what we call it, a miracle. And here's why we call it a miracle, simply because we don't quite understand how it works. That's all. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It means we don't quite understand how it works, which is true of all miracles. And most of us, all of our life is a miracle. I'm telling you. Here's the greatest miracle of all. God says, now I'm an amateur on God too, but let me give you my best shot. God says, "If you'll plant the seed, I'll make the tree." Wow, you can't have a better arrangement than that. Number one gives God the tough end of the deal. What if you had to make the tree? That'd keep you up late night trying to figure out, how do you make a tree? God says, no, leave the miracle part to me. I got the seed, the soil, and the sunshine, and the rain, and the miracle of the seasons, and I'm God, and I can do all this miraculous stuff. I just have reserved something very special for you, and that's what? Plant. That's it. Not chant. No, you don't have to chant and sleep under a pyramid. No. But if you want a miracle, you've got to do whatever you can do, and if that's plant, it's plant. If it's read, it's read. If it's change, it's change. If it's study, it's study. If it's work, it's work. Labor, whatever you got to do. So that's number one. Labor that works miracles. Number one, do what you can. Now here's number two. Do the best you can. Now for a lot of people, that's not their philosophy. Do the best they can. They pass on that. Guy slips in late on the job. They don't seem to notice. He stretches his lunch break 2 hours. Nobody seems to mind. 4:15 is the first one on the parking lot, heading for happy hour. Guy says, best as I can calculate, I'm putting in about a half a day's work and I'm collecting a full day's pay. And the guy says, I got it made. Little does he know, the seeds of his own disaster are already being sown by his lousy philosophy. Doing less and less and wanting more and more, I'm telling you, it's called disaster. But develop your own philosophy. Here's the best philosophy. Do what you can, number one. Number two, do the best you can. My father even taught me, always do more than you get paid for. Why? To make an investment in your future. Do more than you get paid for. Now, the unions would argue with us on that. But here's the clue. Let other people have their philosophy. And let that take them wherever they're going to go. And let you have your own philosophy. Don't set your sail by everybody else's sail. There's some people that are heading for the rocks. They're heading for disaster. I'm asking you to privately take all the information you can possibly get from me and from everybody else that's got something valuable to share, and then you program your own program to set your own sail. Don't just pick up someone else's philosophy and go by it. Set your own sail. And here's the best advice I can give you. Number one, do what you can. Number two, do the best you can. All kinds of miracles start to happen when you do the best you can. If we all fell on the floor right now and did as many push-ups as we possibly could. And let's say for some incredible reason you haven't been into push-ups lately. I can't imagine why, but let's say. And let's say the best you can do is 5. And you look up at the rest of us when you've finished, and you say to all of us, 5 is the best I can do. We can tell by the look on your face that's probably true. 5 is the best you can do. Now, here's a big question. Is 5 all you can do? The answer is no. Here's the secret. If you rest a little, you can do 5 more. And here's what's exciting. You don't have to rest for a week. If you just rest a little, you can do 5 more. And if you rest a little, what? You can do 5 more. And if you rest a little, you can do 8 more. 8. I thought 5 was the best you can do. No. If you keep up the repetitive process, rest a little and get back to it, I'm telling you, it'll what? Increase. And if you rest a little, you can do 8. If you rest a little, you can do 8. If you rest a little, you can do 12. 12? How did we get from 5 to 12? It's a miracle. Did you know you can keep up that process and finally get up to doing 50 push-ups? When 5 was the best you could do, and now you can do 50? How do you multiply something by 10, go from 5 to 50? It's a miracle. And here's how the miracle works. Number 1, do what you can. Number 2, do the best you can. Here's number 3, rest very little. What is your philosophy on labor versus rest? Here's an Old Testament philosophy. Here's an Old Testament philosophy. It says what? 6 days labor and what? 1 day rest. Is that a good philosophy? Remember now, don't be swept along to disaster by somebody else's philosophy. You've got to develop your own philosophy. A lot of the people who are around you are headed for disaster. And if you pick up their habits, and if you pick up their vocabulary, and if you pick up what they read, and if you talk like they talk, you're headed for disaster. You cannot just buy everybody's philosophy. Here's an ancient suggestion on philosophy on labor versus rest. 6 days labor, 1 day rest. Now, I'm not saying 5 and 2 isn't okay. Hey, if God would have thought of 5 and 2, He might have made it 5 and 2. You can't think of everything when you're putting one of these together. But what about 6-1? Well, kids may come up with the obvious. I love to talk with kids. They cut through everything, come up with the obvious. Here's what success is: a refined study of the obvious. Kids would come up with the obvious here. What would they say? Hey, 6-1's probably best because if you rest too long, the weeds take the garden. You got to note that. If you rest too long, the weeds take the garden. Can you think of somebody that's right now about where they were 10 years ago? That may be one of the problems. They keep working hard, but they keep resting too long, and the weeds keep taking it all. They need what? A refinement of philosophy. Because with that poor philosophy, I'm telling you, the wind is going to take them to the rocks. And 10 years from now, they'll be driving what they don't want to drive, wearing what they don't want to wear, living where they don't want to live, and blaming the Democrats. Come on. Jerry talked about no nonsense. That's how I got my life changed. I found a teacher who gave me the no nonsense and said, Mr. Rohn, you've messed up. Let me show you how to change all that. Gosh, that was easy language for me to understand. And he put it in such simple terms, I took it and bought it and went it and changed my life, changed my whole future. I'm asking you to consider, at least consider, doing the same thing. Do the best you can. It'll perform miracles. Multiply. Here's what else is exciting. The same thing that goes for your muscle goes for your money. If you can multiply your muscle by 10, only 5 push-ups and finally get to 50, you can do it with your money. I not only did it with my muscle, I did it with my money. I'm broke at age 25. I'm a millionaire at age 31. And I'm telling you, anybody that wants to make a drastic change in your income, you can do it, starting with a brand new philosophy. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, here's what they pay. What do you care what they pay? What's your philosophy on your future? What is your current economic philosophy for your future and your family? If I lingered after this seminar was over, and just you and me one-on-one got together, and you gave me the details of your current economic plan, would I get so excited I'd go across the country and lecture on it? You say, well, no, Mr. Rohn, you probably wouldn't want to lecture on my financial plan. My next question is, why not? How come you've arrived at this point in your life and you don't have a superior economic plan for the future? How did you get here? I'm telling you, if that's where you find yourself, you have messed up. But here's what's exciting about this seminar today. I brought you to this seminar today and invited you to come here, not to get on your case, just do that. That's what my teacher did, but not to leave you there. The reason I'm laboring so hard to go through all this stuff today is to give you a little better track to run on. At least consider it. So that 5 years from now, you've got the health you want, you've got the family you want, you've got the relationship you want, you've cleaned up all the neglect, and you're on track. So number 1, do what you can. Here's number 2, do the best you can. Now the reason for doing the best you can, there's another reason. To develop the skills. Repetition is the mother of skills. Now why develop the skills? Here's why. Skills makes labor more valuable. If you just labor, you'll make a living. If you skillfully labor, you can make a fortune. If you're interested, I know a lot of people aren't interested, but surely you are. You wouldn't have parted with this kind of cash in this kind of time. Skillful labor. If you just talk to your family, you can hold them all together. If you skillfully talk to your children, you can help them build dreams for the future. Skillful language. That's why I spend so much time on the weekend, especially on communication, affecting other people with words. You can't be lazy in language. It costs too much. What if you meant to say to someone you care about? What if you meant to say, what's troubling you? And instead you said, what's wrong with you? Wow, that's too big a mistake. And sure, you could have made that mistake 10 years ago, but not now. You should have gotten much better by now in language and communication. Come on, we need the skills to help build our family's dreams. We need the skills to stir up an enterprise and make it successful. We need skills to build equities for the future. Skills of all kinds. Skills multiplies labor by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10, by 50, by 100. Hey, you can chop the tree down with a hammer, but it takes about 30 days. Called what? Labor. But if you trade the hammer for an axe, you can chop the tree down in about 30 minutes. What's the difference between 30 days and 30 minutes? Skills. Skills makes the difference. So I'm asking you, pleading with you, number one, do what you can. Clean up all the neglect. And number two, don't settle for the best, less than the best you can do. The best you can do will start working miracles. Multiply your muscle by 10. Multiply your money by 10. Multiply your relationship with your family in terms of equities by 5, by 10, by 50, by 100. And if you're interested in that, you can start the journey today. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You can start today. You don't have to wait till spring. You don't have to wait for some convenient year. This is the best year I know of to start. Put yourself through an activity plan. All right. Now here's number 4. Finally, we've gotten to number 4. Number 4 of the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. I call it results. Results. Every once in a while we've got to look at the results to see if our philosophy is working. To see if our attitude is working. One of the reasons for measuring results is to see what's working and to see what isn't working. To see if your disciplines are on track. They're either on track or what? Off track, depending on results. Now take this phrase home. Results is the name of the game. What other game is there except to work on philosophy and attitude and discipline so that you can produce results? What is the reason for the seasons? To see what you can do with them. Why the seed and the soil and the sunshine and the rain and the turn of seasons and the miracle of life? Why all of that? Here's why all of that. To see what you can do with it. Results. Now here's all life asks us to do concerning results. Here it is, simple phrase, it's one of the best I got for the day. Life only asks us to do this: make measurable progress in reasonable time. Just jot that down. Make measurable progress in reasonable time. That's what life asks us to do. So number 1, you've got to be reasonable with time to ask for a measure, weigh, and account on results. Don't be unreasonable with time, parents. Don't be unreasonable with time, managers, brokers, business associates. Have a little patience. Okay? You can't ask somebody every 5 minutes, how are you doing now? That's too soon. Guy says, I haven't left the building yet. Give me a break. So 5 minutes is too soon to ask. Now 5 years is what? Too long and too late. So what is reasonable time to ask for results and a measure? Here's number 1 at the end of the day. You can't let more than a day go by without getting some things done, some letters written, a father's conversation with a daughter. You can't postpone the important more than a day. If you work on a job, some things you've got to get done within a day. You've got to make some calls within a day. Your health disciplines, you've got to get those done within a day. You can't carry over. Say, well, I'll eat 9 apples, 10 days from now. No. It's an apple a day. A day. Some things you've got to get done within a day. So 5 minutes to midnight, you haven't got your apple yet? Munch away. Get it done. A day. Now here's next, a week. Some things you've got to get done within a week. Stuff on the job. Calls made. Activities. A week is a good chunk of time. Can't let more than a week go by without taking a look and taking a measure and see how you're doing. John joins this little sales company. Supposed to make 10 calls first week just to get acquainted out there in the marketplace. Would it be legitimate to call John in on Friday and say what? How many calls did you make? That's called legitimate. It's legitimate time to ask for a measurable amount of progress. Supposed to make 10 calls Friday. John, how many calls? John says, well. You say, John, well won't fit in my little box here. I just need what? A number. Now John starts with a story. You say, John, the reason I made this little box so small is so a story won't fit. I don't need a story. I just need what? A number. Now here's one of the better phrases to take home. The numbers tell us the whole story. On you personally. The numbers tell us the whole story. Success is a numbers game. Show started right away with me on numbers. Let me give you 3 of the questions he asked me. He asked me a lot more, but here's 3 of the most important. Question number 1, Show said, Mr. Rohn, you've been working 6 years. Age 19 now, it's 25. Question, how much money have you saved and invested the last 6 years? I'll give you time to jot these questions down because these are important. 3 of the most important questions he asked me. How much money have you saved and invested the last 6 years? And I said what? 0. He said, who sold you on that plan? I said to myself, my gosh, the man's right. I'm a nice guy and I love my family, but I bought the wrong plan. Doesn't this 0 tell the story? I'm definitely off track. Second question. Show said, Mr. Rohn, you want to be successful and powerful and sophisticated and healthy and influential, a hero to your family. Question, in the last 90 days, how many books have you read? Invest in the miracle of your mind. Give you ideas to ponder. Fashion your future with meticulous care. How many books have you read in that process the last 90 days? And I said what? 0. I said, yeah, but you don't understand. These negative relatives are putting me down. Those Democrats have got things messed up. Third question. Show said, Mr. Rohn, in the last 6 months, how many classes have you taken to improve your skills or to develop new skills? For your future and your family, how many classes in the last 6 months? And I said what? 0. 3 excellent questions. I'm striking out. I got zeros on all those questions. Shoaff said, Mr. Rohn, unless you cure these numbers, you're headed for disaster. 6 years from now, you won't just be broke. You'll be double broke. Wow, I started turning these numbers around. The next 90 days, I became a reader. I started taking some classes. I started investing in my library. I started putting my money away. I started a brand new financial plan, which I'll discuss with you in that next seminar, how to become financially independent. I'm telling you, numbers tell us everything. Success is a numbers game. We demand it of our children. How many years do you want your child to spend in 4th grade? Approximately. What? About 1. You say, well, if they're nice kids, would you give them 3 or 4 years? You say, no. It's not a beauty contest, getting ready for the world, making your way financially, socially, personally. You can't spend more than 1 year in 1 grade. It's unacceptable. And if it looks like they're not going to make it, what do? Pour on the pressure, family pressure, peer pressure, school pressure, every other kind of pressure. Teacher pressure. Why? Can't stay here more than 1 year. You got to learn this stuff and move along to the next grade. And if we demand it of our kids, parents, we got to demand it of ourselves. You got to make progress in reasonable time. You got to take a look at the numbers and see how you're doing. It's the name of the game. How often should you weigh the new baby? You say, well, next spring we'll weigh the baby. No, you can't wait till next spring. Don't you have to weigh the new baby often? The answer is yes, of course, to see what? Is it gaining weight or what? Losing weight. What if it's losing weight? The alarm bells have got to go off. You can't let a little baby lose weight very long. It's called disaster. These numbers are important. How often should you check the corporation? See if it's healthy or not. You say, well, in a couple of years we'll get all the accountants together. No, you'll be out of business. In Las Vegas, the big gambling houses, guess how often they put together a financial statement to see where they are? Several times a day. Why? So much is happening. If you don't learn when to shut down some of those tables, you'll be out of business by midnight. You can't wait till midnight. You can't wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow's too late. You got to know the numbers. What is your cholesterol count? You don't know and you don't care. You've just got your fingers crossed for the future. We better come get your family. Take them to safety. Come on. Be responsible for the set of your own sail. Leave it to no one else but yourself and learn to refine these numbers yourself. How many pounds overweight should you be at age 50? John says, well, I got big bones. Well, we'll give you 10 pounds for big bones. But hey, 25, 30 pounds, we got to turn on the caution light flashing at home and at the office. Somebody says, what's that flashing caution light? That John's up about 20, 25 pounds. 35, 40 pounds. Flashing red light at home and at the office. Somebody says, what's that flashing red light? See, John's up about 40 pounds. 50-pound siren. Someone says, what's that siren? Said, John's over 50 pounds. I'm asking you to take charge of your own life. Take charge of your own retirement. Take charge of your own health. Don't just drift along with the crowd who don't care and don't care to be responsible about being meticulous about the numbers. Some of these numbers have got to be coming down like your cholesterol. Some of these numbers have got to be going up like the number of books in your library. And don't be satisfied until you've looked at all your own numbers and be responsible. Don't wait for somebody to come along. Fortunately, I had somebody come along at age 25. But what if nobody comes along? You've got to be responsible yourself. Seek out the information. If you search, you can find it. Motivation. Here's what's really important. Self-motivation. Guy says, boy, if somebody had just come by and turned me on. What if they don't show up? You've got to have a better plan for your life. Are you just going to sit in the shadows and wish the rest of your life? The answer is no. I'm telling you, you got to get up. You got to do something about it. Become self-motivated. Become self-educated. Seek out the books. Don't wait for somebody to come by and just put them on you and say, oh, please buy. I'm asking you to go search for them. Go look for them. An ancient phrase says, if you search, you will find. Here's how it also reads. In order to find, you must search. Like you did today. Come searching. I appreciate that. Rarely does a good idea interrupt you. You got to go looking for it. You got to go to church and see if you can find it. You got to go to the library and see if you can find it. You got to come to seminars like this and see if you can find it. You got to get the books and read and see if you can find it. You got to listen to the cassettes and see if you can find it. And it says, if you will search, you'll find some good ideas to change your health. You'll find some good ideas to change your ability to get promoted. You'll find some good ideas to change your income, change your future, change the amount of properties you own. I'm telling you, you'll find it. Results is the name of the game. Let's check the numbers. Don't be satisfied with anything less than the best of numbers. Jesus walked along one day with his disciples, saw a fig tree. Interesting story. And as Jesus looked suspiciously at this fig tree, he said to his disciples, does that fig tree have any figs? Do you think that's an important question? I'm telling you, for a fig tree, it's the all-important question. Does it have any figs? His disciples said to Jesus, no, sir, of all the trees you were to pick, this particular fig tree does not have any figs. The story said Jesus lost his cool. One of the few times he lost his cool. Why? I think to make point. A fig tree without figs, it is unacceptable. Jesus swiftly said, I suggest if that fig tree doesn't have any figs, I suggest you promptly take it out. And he added, why let it take up the desk? I mean the ground. So you got to get all your folks together every once in a while and say, today we're counting the figs. What for? To see who gets